Okay, we should be recording. Does it tell
Yeah,
you? Does it tell you on
it
your side, Craig, that we're
it
recording? Because
it does.
I would hate to get through this and then realise it's record. It's happened before in some of the coaching calls.
Uh,
So, guys, for you listening to it or watching back the recording, Craig is going to basically. I've asked Craig to come on, or some of you actually asked me if we could do some in-house interviews with some of the guys that have done really well. Craig in particular has got extremely lean. Some of you seen his results on the Summer Shred competition recently. So that's what we've done. Craig is the first of a list of guys that we're going to get on. So we're going to try and do some of these regular. Maybe I'll try and get at least one a month. We might get a couple more a month that we can all learn from. So I'm going to ask, I've got a few questions I want to ask Craig. Obviously, I know the process Craig has went through and the changes that you've made, mate. But I want to obviously hear your perspective on those things.
yeah,
And then once we've done that, we'll go to the Facebook group because some of the guys have asked some questions as well.
yeah. Okay,
Um,
cool.
okay, mate. So give me a bit of the backstory. What was the reason you decided you were going to come to work with me in the program or any sort of program versus what you were doing before? Like, why did you think that you needed to take things more seriously? What was the situation you were in?
Um, I think being fully transparent, I kind of found it by accident. So, as we've said, I try and stay fit and active, and probably when I was in my mid-30s, just in my head, I had this thing of fit at 50. That was always my right. I'm going to do things just so I can be, when I get to 50, I'm still pretty fit and active and I can do what I need to do. Um, and then over Christmas, just gone. So I used to go out quite a bit on my mountain bike. Over Christmas, just gone. I went out with a mate, and I'd had a history of back problems since my late 20s, and they'd flare up and go away and flare up and go away. And then I went out with a mate over Christmas and we had a great time out. Came home, felt really good like you do after exercise. And 2 days later, I could barely walk because I had like a shooting pain down my arse and my leg. And I think at that point, I kind of thought, "Ah, it was slowing me down to a level that I couldn't get fit. Felt like I couldn't do enough before I got injured until I got, injured or had another issue. So I couldn't get fit enough to then build on that and get fitter still. It kept holding me back. Um, and I'd done quite a bit of up to that point to manage my back pain. It was my own sort of schedule that I picked up from an instructor, but I was doing some Pilates 3 times a week at home. So I was already doing some bits and bobs, which was helping me, but not clearly not making the difference I wanted. I can't really remember now. I think I just decided I need to get stronger. And I was talking to someone at work, and he was saying, we just sit at a desk all day and we just turn into little Tyrannosaurus Rexes with these little weak arms typing away at keyboards. And I thought I need to get stronger. And I think that probably led me to Googling it. And then one day I remember the picture. There's a picture on your page somewhere. I think it's a page where you're doing some dips on bars outside somewhere. You'll know the
Mate, do you know
picture.
that picture has actually attracted so many guys to the
Has it?
program? Hi,
And
like,
and that's
uh,
and that was the and I looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, that looks and you click on it and blah, blah, and
it,
then and
it
then
actually partially annoys me because like sometimes I feel like I'm just fitting in with like everybody else in the fitness industry, like showing an
yeah,
aesthetic looking
yeah,
shirtless, doing
yeah,
dips,
yeah.
looking ripped. And sometimes it annoys me that I'm like, 'cause why are the guys just mostly attracted to to looking good? Listen, we want to look good, but I also think it should
Yeah,
be more. It should be more than
yeah.
that. It should be more than that. So,
And when I thought about some of the stuff I was going to say here, and actually, so as you know, I was losing weight for me was never on the
uh,
never on the agenda. I never thought I needed to lose weight. I always consider myself quite skinny. Actually, in hindsight, since I've been doing this, I've realised probably didn't need to lose weight, but definitely the change I've seen I've been amazed by it. I never thought I could make that kind of change, to be honest. But yeah, coming back to the original question, why did what was the story and why did I join? It was primarily I wanted to get stronger. It was the random click on Facebook through that page that kind of led me to to here. Losing weight was not on my the only thing I wanted to do was get stronger to improve my back. It's as simple as that. And yeah, and then obviously what I didn't know at the time was all the other great things I was going to pick up along the way.
Cool. Okay.
Mm.
We're gonna talk specifically about those things as
Yeah.
well. I also want to ask, what was your training regime like before you came on board?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I I used to tell myself I'd do 3 times a week. If I'm honest, it was probably like 2.5 times a week on average. And I would usually try and do half hour on the cross, no, not even that, 20, 25 minutes on the cross trainer, go as hard as I could, get the heart rate right up, and that'd be my cardio. Um, and then and I'd do my Pilates workouts, which are probably 40 minutes 3 times a week, just in the living room at home. Might do a few press ups after that, 3 sets of 10 or 12, something like that. And then I might, throw the dumbbells around a little bit and do some bicep curls after my cross trainer workout. That was pretty much it, really. I did used to go to the gym. I went through a phase in my mid-20s where I was going to the gym 3 times a week, um, and had like a weights program then, but never ever got into the nutrition side of it. That was always, I'd go do the gym because I had nothing else to do because I wasn't married, I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, 2 and a bit times a week. Trying to just sort of Pilates to keep my back healthy, cross trainer for the cardio. That was about it, really.
Okay. So what did your diet look like before? How would you describe it?
I remember when I first started speaking to you, I was thinking, I think my diet's pretty good actually. I
Yeah,
remember messaging you.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. And so I think generally for quite a long time I've tried to make half decent choices. So I would go for brown bread rather than white bread. I'd have brown rice for rather than white rice. So I've been like that for quite a long time. My diet was I'd have 4 pieces of fruit a day, porridge for breakfast with a banana on. Um, pretty much every day tuna sandwiches. Um, and I actually moved to gluten-free bread because the bread was just plain with my guts a bit. Um, and then whatever the family were having for tea, we'd have like whatever you make, some chicken casserole or some spag bol or some chili with rice. So I guess it was, if you look at the macros, it was quite carb heavy. I would think I was eating a lot of protein because I'd have my tuna sandwiches and I'd have some meat on an evening. But actually, again, in hindsight, now I've done this, you kind of think,
No
well,
one near
actually,
enough.
the protein was nowhere near where it needed to be, and it was definitely carb heavy. Yeah,
And to be
yeah,
fair, I don't think your diet was bad. And a lot of the guys who they often say the same thing to me. Like,
yeah,
I think my diet's all right. It's not that bad. A lot of times they are right in the sense that yeah, it's not bad in comparison to, you know, most of the Western civilization who are
yeah, yeah,
obese and
yeah,
overweight.
yeah.
It's not bad, but it's not
Yeah.
good either. And
Mm.
it's not right for like the
I would, yeah,
type of goals that you're wanting to achieve.
I would turn down, if the family went for McDonald's, if I wasn't in the mood, I'd turn a McDonald's down because I just like, what do I want to eat that shit for? So I did have some, there were some good behaviors in
Yeah,
there, I
yeah.
think already.
You're conscious of getting like lots of fruits and stuff, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cool. So let's your goal when you first got started mostly about getting stronger and the hope to improve your back. What have been the biggest changes? Obviously, we've seen the changes in your physique,
yeah.
and it's only been what, 5 months, something like that.
So I went back on it. I think February the 4th was the start. Yeah,
Cool. February.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
five, six
yeah, yeah.
months.
So it's about just slightly over 5 months. So what have been the biggest shifts and changes in your training routine since then? So what the physique and body you had
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
physique and body you've got now, what's the differences in training?
I mean, the first obvious one. The first obvious one is it's a lot more. It's well, there's more of it. Yeah. I've gone from two and a half workouts a week to a really consistent. I think, except for maybe 2 weeks in the whole 6 months, I've done 3 workouts a week, 3 1 hours a week, and probably on average 2 times a month. I've managed like another one on a Saturday because I wanted to. The amount of training I've done is probably 1.5 times, maybe, 1.5, maybe 2 times on the good weeks. The type of training then is obviously a lot more resistance biased and less heavy cardio. But actually, I found you get a lot of the cardio from the weight training as well if you're
Yeah,
pushing yourself, and the intensity. To be honest, I think I push myself. I push myself on every workout that I do.
that was one of the. I remember having that conversation with you
Yeah,
early on, and you've massively took heed with that because we've
yeah,
seen that in some of your form videos as well about I remember specifically having the conversation that most guys are stopping too far away from
yeah,
failure.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the sets are uncomfortable to keep going, and they might push a few reps out at that point
yeah,
after they've done a certain amount
yeah,
of reps on the exercises. But if I put a gun to your head and listen, I'm going to pull the
yeah,
fucking trigger. You keep going, you've got another
yeah,
7, 8 reps in you.
yeah,
And
exactly.
from that conversation, I remember you really working on that.
Yeah. And
Um,
the thing that's really stuck with me, and probably through, I know a few of the questions were kind of aimed towards the challenge itself, but I remember when you did the brief and one of the calls, about the thing that really stuck with me was workout. I can't remember what you said now exactly, but it was something along the lines of work out like you're going for a gold medal every time. And then the other thing that stuck with me is the 1% rule. So every workout I do, I will. You kind of, if you get a new routine, your new 4 or 6 week block, the first one you're trying to find your baseline, aren't you? The second one you sort of pretty much know where you're at, and then from there, I'm always trying to go, even if it's just one extra rep on my push-ups, for example, because I get to some of them and think, oh God, this was really hard last week, and I've got to do more.
yeah. And that's the thing, like, so obviously we say the rule of, like, you're always trying to beat the logbook. You should be training close to failure, and those are things that we should be doing frequently. But you can't do it on every single set, on every single exercise,
No,
every single workout, every single week.
yeah,
It takes a lot from you mentally. Even at the start of the workout, if you get that in with the first set or two on some of your
mm,
exercises,
yeah,
by the end of it, sometimes, like, if you went really, really hard,
yeah,
trying to do it on your third set, do you know
yeah,
that can be difficult. So it's like, as long as we are progressing somewhere within the workout,
mm, yeah,
do you know what I mean? Even if it's only just on one of those sets, it can make a big difference. It moves you
yeah.
in the right
So,
direction.
so coming back to your question, what's changed in my workouts? I think the other thing I would say is, so amount, intensity, and type of training, uh, and actually level of enjoyment. I
Why do you think you enjoy it more?
because because I've always got a target. Because it's now structured. I never used to record what I did. I just jumped on the cross trainer, 25 minutes, that'll do. And like I say, do a few, whatever weight I fancied lifting at the time. So I've got a structure now and I can see some improvement. And for me, the type of person I am, that motivates me. Um, and seeing the improvements week on week is a real motivator for me. So I really, really enjoy it. It sounds, some people watching this will probably think, what a weirdo, but
Well, I think
um,
when every workout starts to have its own goal, and like you said, you obviously been recording all your lifts.
yeah,
Um, when you weren't doing that before, now you're looking at sets and you'll say, okay,
yeah,
I've got something that I can accomplish within this workout,
yeah,
rather than just working out for the sake of ticking a box.
yeah.
It's a completely different focus.
Mm, yeah. So
Do you know what I mean? And it's like you've achieved a goal. You don't need to wait 3 months
yeah,
till a change happens in the mirror. You're achieving a goal every workout.
exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry, and the final thing actually is I shifted my workout. One thing that's made a big difference actually is moving my workouts to the morning. So it's kind of 3 times a week. I'll have a cup of coffee, and it's the first thing I do in the day, and it's in the window of the day that I can control. So it gets to the end of the day. Sometimes I'd have a late meeting at work that I get called into, or I'd come home and something had happened, and before you know it, and you're a bit knackered, so you don't bother with your workout. In the morning, it's kind of I don't think of anything else until I've done that. So that has
Yeah.
really helped me. Just I can control it really well. So as long as I can get my ass out of bed, um, then
When did you used to train before?
in an evening after I got home from work. So if I
Right.
get home at sometimes that was 5:30, sometimes it was 6:30, 7 o'clock. Sometimes it wasn't at all because I get home and I've had enough for the day. Yeah.
Why did you decide to change?
So this comes back to the conversation we had about have I really got time for this? Um, it was one of the first decisions because I remember thinking if I'm going to do this, I want to do it properly. How am I going to get? My first thought was how the hell am I going to get 3 consistent workouts in a week? Um, and I already did my Pilates in the lounge type thing in the morning anyway. So I thought, well, I can sacrifice some of those. And then, so I already sort of had the windows to do it. I just wasn't doing a proper workout. So I
Mhm.
substituted some of those um, for my proper workouts because I knew I'd need to be able to stick to the 3 times a week. I'd need to be able to be in more control of that time period.
Got it. Good work. And that's a key thing for most people. It's like, sometimes there's no more time in the day. So getting up early and getting that done before your day starts, that's a massive win. Do you know what I mean? Psychologically as well,
Yeah.
starting your day when you've got that out of the way, that's another accomplishment. Um, have you had to change your bedtime routines in order to do that?
Yeah, so I wrote it down in here actually. I think someone asked me, what have I given up or what are the key things I've changed? Yeah, I've got to have lights out, eyes shut by 10 o'clock because I'm up at 5. So um, if it's much later than that, after a couple of days, I can feel it when I get up in the morning, and
Sure.
then I'll go and do the workout. But I'm kind of thinking, I need to be better recovered. So yeah, so my bedtime is it's probably more rigid. On weekends when I haven't got things on, I also try, if we're just kind of going to sit and watch the TV, so I'll also try and stick to that time as close as I can, really. Um, Having said all of that, I think sleep is probably the one thing I haven't. I know, you go through it in the program, but sleep is the one thing I probably haven't quite mastered yet. I'm
Have you
consistent.
improved it?
No, I don't think.
Have you improved
No, I
your
don't.
bedtime habits and behaviors?
The If I'm really honest with you, probably not that much actually.
Okay,
I'll because
I would definitely really work on that because it'll make
uh,
a big difference to your gains, and life in general.
hmm,
Sure.
yeah,
So, so obviously you're being rigid with the 10 p.m. bedtime. You said that that's something you've had to be strict with. Does that impact the family at all? Are they on board with that? With the kids already going to bed at a decent time anyway?
yeah. I mean, we're as a family, we're generally speaking, we're makes it sound really boring, doesn't it? We're generally, in bed fairly early and up fairly early. So,
That's
um,
good.
so we're and that's generally as a family. The eldest is 16, so she's just finished her GCSEs. So, now she's off. Sometimes she'll have her music on, and I'm going to go tell her to turn it off or something. But no, generally it's not impacted the family. In fact, it's probably meant that me and the missus will go to bed at a similar sort of time because she likes to go to bed at an early-ish time anyway. So it's probably improved things if anything.
Great.
Yeah,
No, it's good that you've already got that there because it obviously sets a standard for the kids as well, doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah. Doesn't
Sure.
always mean they abide by it, but yeah.
No, of course, especially at that age, and kind of starting to develop their own mind.
Yeah.
So, what have been some of the changes in food then? How is your diet now compared to before?
Yeah. A lot more protein. That was one of the first key changes. and I know that's obviously one of the first things that you look at in the nutrition piece. Um, no bread. I don't eat any bread now.
Why?
Um, because it used to play not havoc, but it'd upset my stomach a bit sometimes. Um, and I kind of think I've just because of that, and then because of the changes that I made, I was very conscious not to eat. Just in my head, I think it's not a great food to have.
Cool.
That's probably the only reason. I think there are other carbs. I can eat other foods that have carbs in that are smarter than bread. So
Yeah.
things like I'll eat quite a lot of if I want to have a side of carbs, I will have some brown rice with maybe some kidney beans and chickpeas in it,
Good.
um, which still gives you the
They're
carbs you
really,
need,
yeah, they're
but it's
really
a
good
much
carbs.
smarter choice.
They're also higher in protein as well, like the
Exactly. Yeah.
so versus any sorts of beans and legumes,
Uh,
chickpeas, like
yeah.
they're great
Yeah.
smart carbs, but they do have a fair, not a protein source per se, but
Yeah.
in comparison to the other
Yeah.
carbs like rice, they've got more
Yeah.
protein in them.
I mean, sorry, don't get me wrong. If it's not like I won't eat bread at all. So we went out. I went out, took the team at work out for breakfast the other morning, and had some scrambled eggs with I, you're always like there on the shoulder, and I was like, oh, there's a fry up there. I could have the fry up, and I had scrambled eggs with smoked salmon and some toast on the side, just brown bread toast. So it's not like I've just erased it altogether. It's not on.
Yeah.
I won't refuse it if it's there. It's just I'll just choose to eat something else if I can
Yeah,
have the choice.
I'm the same. Sometimes I'll
Yeah,
have it as well. Like at the odd time,
yeah,
if Leanne's made something nice and she put some like gluten-free bread on the side.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. Sometimes you think the gluten-free bread, you look at the ingredients list and there's like fucking a million things in there. Like it's
mm,
still processed shit.
yeah,
But um, yeah, it's not like a staple carb. I think that's when
yeah,
you really start to
yeah.
see benefits. Cool. Next one.
In
So
in ter in terms of
sorry,
other,
before we go into the rest of it, just back to the
yeah.
protein, because we only just touched on protein. So do you have like specific targets? What kind of foods are you eating to meet your protein?
Um, targets. In my head, I kind of have a number of. So I'm currently somewhere around 65 kilos. So I think in my head, you use the 1.6 to 2.2 rule. In my head, I'm thinking I want to work towards at the top end of that, and I've kind of go if I can hit 150, 160 grams a day, then I think that's around about where I want to be. I think. Um, in terms of the foods, I eat quite a lot of chicken, so I buy a lot of chicken breast and air fry it just with some, salt, pepper, and paprika or Cajun or whatever on it. Chop that up and just put it into a parcel, take it to work. It's dead easy. Tuna, tuna actually, I think is a bit. Tuna wasn't mentioned on any of the food articles, but I kind of think it's a bit of a
Is it not? Have I
super
not?
protein. I think
Have
of
I
it
not
as like
mentioned it?
no, because I went back through and I
I
thought,
don't know why. I've probably just
I had to
slipped my mind.
I had
In
to
fact,
double
do
check
you
the
know
tin,
something?
and I was
Like
like,
I've changed my minds on some things over the years.
right,
Um, Tuna is meant to be a bit higher in heavy metals
hmm,
in
mercury, I
comparison
think.
to other fish,
Yeah.
but I'm not so sure if it's something probably should be stressing that
Hmm.
much over,
But I used
to
I
be
would
fair.
have, I'll have, I don't do it now because I'm drinking having the shakes now. But as I said to you, over the challenge as well, most days I would have a mid-morning snack, but it was a tin or a tin and a half of tuna with some tomatoes, and I know there's some guys on the group who hate tomatoes, with some
Yeah.
tomatoes and cucumber in it, which
Yep.
takes away the dryness. And it's just like a mega high protein, low calorie
Yep.
snack that just saw me through till lunchtime. Yeah,
Absolutely. And you're
bit of a
getting
secret weapon, I think
with
that's.
that, you're not just getting the high protein, but you're getting all the micronutrients in the salad that you're eating.
Yeah.
I think that's a key thing. See, getting lots of different colourful plants in the diet, which a lot of guys can be like resistant to
Yeah.
adding in, but
Um,
if you're getting that in there, you're getting tons of fiber, tons of
mm,
good,
yeah,
healthy bacteria for your gut microbiome. You're getting good immune building from all the micronutrients that come from um the salad. Plus, eh, that's the kind of foods that kill cravings. So you're going to eliminate all the
yeah,
other cravings like
yeah,
late morning, mid afternoon by
yeah,
getting a snack like that in.
yeah.
And obviously, it doesn't need any cooking. You
I
just
think the other, I mean, the other thing that I discovered, I just made it up, but I wanted to share it with people. I remember I went out for a day mountain biking around the Peak District. So I was like, oh, what am I going to eat while I'm out? And I just made, I've got these like Tupperware pots, the reasonable size, so you can get quite a bit in them. Made just chucked in 2 tins of tuna there, and then mixed it up with a few cashew nuts, some, a whole pepper chopped up, some carrot chopped up, some cucumber, some bits of apple, um, a bit of rice, and just sort of, took all of the constituents, your carbs, your fats, your veggies, your protein, and chucked it all into a bowl and mixed it up, and you can just eat it on the go. And tuna's pretty good for that as well.
great fuel for
Who
the
knew tuna
tracks
was
and the
so
road.
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's so versatile. That's the word.
yeah, maybe not
Mm.
interesting.
Um,
Other stuff, if we're sticking on protein, I remember you saying to me, show me your breakfast. There's a bowl of porridge, Dean. I was like, where's the fucking protein?
mm.
Um, yeah, breakfast is now. I tried the shakes for breakfast, but I just gotta have something to eat. The shakes didn't work for me. So, just actually eating to me. Um, yeah, overnight oats with a scoop of protein powder, a
Greek
couple of
yogurt.
scoops of Greek yogurt, yeah,
Yeah.
and some chia seeds sprinkled into it, and then have 3 eggs after breakfast as well.
Fucking excellent. Yeah.
So
So, eggs is like actually a bit of a multivitamin as well. Great way to start your day consistently with eggs. But then also you get the protein from the Greek yogurt and your protein
yeah,
powder, and you've got the healthy fats in the egg yolks and also the
yeah,
seeds. What seeds was it you're putting in there?
chia seeds,
The chia seeds.
yeah,
I think it's good to uh, alternate different seeds. Pumpkin seeds great to
yeah,
get in there because they're
yeah, yeah. I've got some of
high in
those.
zinc,
Yeah.
selenium. Um, and then you've got the tuna snack. What are you having for lunch?
Lunch would um, usually be something chicken based. So I'd make up something that was really easy to do. I've shared it on the group. I think it's like I mean, fucking, I never even knew what quinoa was 6 months ago. And
What quinoa?
quinoa,
Okay.
yeah. And I went to work with him one day, and this guy at work's like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's quinoa." I was like, "Oh, he's quite posh," and he's like, "Oh, you mean quinoa?" I was like, "Well, yeah, whatever you say, Ben."
Mm.
But so make that up with some lentils, red onion, spring onion, a few dried apricots, bit of Cajun, and it just makes like a nice side to go with some chicken. So I'd have that for lunch. Others for lunch, not if I'm at work because it stinks. If I'm at home, um, some tinned salmon, um, or sardines, something you suggested to me, which is quite a nice alternative.
Sardine because they're
What
loaded
else?
in omega threes.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's completely unsociable at work, I think. Um,
Yeah, it stinks.
stinks. What else? And then evening meal would quite a lot of time, to be honest. If we have a chili as a family, or we'd have spag bowl or something with some mince, 5% fat mince we'd make up. And again, I'd try and just take the opportunity to chuck in a load of extra, if it's a chili, chuck in a couple of extra tins of chickpeas or kidney beans. Someone else on the group, I remember, said like it's just a powerhouse of a meal because I just got everything all in one bowl.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
you mentioned the family. How have your changes with nutrition, if any, impacted family dynamics? Has there been any
mm,
challenges, obstacles there, things that you've had to work around?
I've um, not bre because of my work routine, very often breakfast and lunch have always been different for me anyway. So
Yeah.
I try and kind of focus my changes on breakfast and lunch, and then um, we haven't really, because you can make up a pretty decent meal that everybody likes that doesn't break any of the rules, that we're trying to do here, but still works for everyone else. It hasn't really affected things. One of the things actually the missus is she'll now have what does she have for breakfast now? She pinches some of my protein powder and she'll have some Greek yogurt and then she'll have some fruit with it. And whereas before she was just having a bowl of cereal. So, she's not fully on board, but you could see that it's had some kind of she's
Happens.
seeing what I'm happening and
See it
then
with a lot of the guys who go through a transformation, like,
yeah,
and build the habit sustainably.
yeah,
Um, the old saying, monkey see, monkey do. We are
mm,
just like moderately more intelligent apes.
yeah,
And I think a lot of guys struggle with that mentality of like, oh, it's hard for me because my family won't change their habits and stuff. And you're
yeah,
like, listen, you know, you need
yeah,
you need to be the example setter. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
But you don't need to eat every single meal differently and not eat with your family, but you need to take control
yeah,
of the meals that you can control. And when you start to do that and they start to see the results,
yeah.
you don't need to be pushy and demand that
Mm,
they make changes. They'll follow suit if you
yeah.
just lead by example. Do you know what I mean? But you need to focus on yourself first, and then they'll follow.
One of the things I have done is, or I do. So we'll do like a weekly shop, which is whatever everyone has. Um, and most weeks I'll take either on my way home from work on a Friday or first thing Saturday morning I'll drop into the supermarket and just buy like a because in my head I know what I need for the week, and I'll go and get a pile of the veggies, the salad, the tinned salmon, the sardine, just I don't know why I do it like that, but it's just my way of just having a control over, right, okay, that's what I need for the week as well, on top of what else we got as a family. So it probably yeah, we're probably spending more on food now than we used to because of me.
Do you think
But I don't see that
are
as a
you
bad thing.
really spending more on more on healthy foods, but like has any cost reduced on like unnecessary snacking or takeaways or anything like that?
Uh, no, because
No.
I don't because I most of the snacks in the cupboard don't get consumed by me
Okay, got you.
or didn't.
But
So it hasn't.
did they before? No.
No, that's what I mean.
All
No,
right, got you.
not.
Okay, so if your personal food costs haven't up, is it been worth it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's the important thing, isn't
I
it?
kind of, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You do think, oh, is it worth it? And well, of course it's worth it because you're putting good stuff into your body. So,
Yeah, when you think about like how many extra years you're going to get and what those extra years are going to look like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Versus versus the inevitable deterioration and sometimes avoidable things that come with that deterioration
yeah,
when you get
yeah,
older. Yeah, you can't buy it,
mm,
man. You can't buy it
yeah,
price.
yeah, yeah.
Right, mate. Where's my little book of questions? I think mine's. Oh yeah. So, what have been
I did just want to say just one other thing because I know it comes up on the group quite a lot. Sorry, mate. With that, and then we'll go on to the questions. One of the things that you might not appreciate me saying this, I don't know. One of the things that comes up is obviously alcohol and beer and everything else.
That's a good point.
Um,
Yeah.
I I've definitely I think twice now before very often I'd go for a just habitual beer on a weekend. I never really drank Monday to Thursday anyway, because it doesn't take many beers for me to just feel a bit shit the next day for work. But Friday or Saturday, habitually, I'd have maybe a couple of beers, and I think more about that now. Do I need a beer? Sometimes I won't have one. But one thing I have done throughout, not throughout, but on two or three occasions, is gone on a session with some mates, and had a Saturday afternoon, and we've just had a few beers and a good laugh, and that for me, the point I wanted to make was I know you say, is it worth the trade-off um, of how you feel the next day or the next week or whatever? I remember I met up with some old uni mates. I think it was early into the challenge in April. I remember coming back from the weekend thinking that was just really good. It was just good for the soul to catch up with some friends and old friends and have a good laugh. And I kind of thought once in a while I'm okay to trade off, you know, maybe a less than perfect Monday training session because I've
Yeah.
had a bit of I've been refueled by the social side with my mates.
So on that front, like how many drinks would you reckon you would have on a night like that with your mates?
A night like that, and this isn't every week, by the way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on a
I
session
was
like
going to
that,
ask. I was
don't
going
know,
to. I mean, I was going to say that
maybe
next because you're not getting to the level of body fat levels you just got to doing a lot of drinking.
no,
But so
no,
that
probably I don't know between 7 and 9 drinks, something like
what kind of drinks?
that. Pints,
Which okay. I mean, that's a lot of alcohol, but
yeah,
it's not crazy.
yeah.
It's not crazy like some people might consume in a week. Um, how many do you reckon you drink on an average month?
Ooh.
Even now, like even recently, when you've gotten to the really lean stages.
If I didn't have like a good social plan with some friends, I would say average of two 2 pints a week max.
Okay,
So 8 pints a month max.
cool, cool. And do you compensate with food in order to do that? Do you think about it that way?
No, no, not. I have heard you say that on the group. Not really. No.
So I th
Usually it goes the other way because you want to eat more when you've had.
right, okay. So I don't think that would work for most people to get to your levels of body fat. I mean, like being without being conscious of it and making a
Mm,
trade-off with
yeah.
like portion sizes, whether it's that day, the next day, or the following week, or the day before it, because you're thinking ahead or whatever. Um, 2 pints a week, aye, it's fine. Anybody can get in really good shape doing that. But your level of body fat, I think you might be an exception just for not having to like consciously make some food trade-offs there. I
Mm,
think most people probably would have to be more conscious of how they're
yeah.
eating so that they
Yeah.
can have those pints. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Just going by my experience. What have been some of the this is my last question, and then we're going to get into the
Yeah.
guys'
Yeah.
questions in the group. What have been some of the biggest mindset shifts and levels of thinking that you've had to make over the past 5 months?
Um, Mindset shifts. I think if I was to definitely the being it's drummed into you anyway, but just that being consistent and not beating yourself up if you miss a session or you have a bad meal or you go and have a load of beers or so that the wipe the slate clean and being consistent, that's definitely something that I've tried to adopt. Not being too not being too prescriptive either, particularly with the meal. The hand size portions is great. The water, I don't measure 2 liters of water a day and drink it all. If I've had 4 pints of water in the day, I'll know I'm some there or thereabouts. Um, and probably the biggest one I think is, and I still question, and I was thinking it might be worth having a discussion about it with the wider group is meal prep. So I've been very conscious about right getting organised for the week, but it does still even now feel like it takes up quite a big proportion of my time, a bigger proportion of my time than I would ideally want it to. Um, so I'm kind of wide in a way, so I'm I will prepare for it and plan for it and get it done. Um, but it's sometimes I think I must be mad spending all this time prepping your meals.
Okay, that's a good point because if anybody wants to get to your body fat levels, I would assume you're somewhere close to 10%. That's what it takes
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
planning and preparation.
mm,
It has to be a large part of your week. And
yeah,
I don't mean like a whole day of food prep,
yeah.
but I just mean like it has to be at the forefront of your mind on a daily basis.
Oh,
Like
it is. Yeah, yeah, it definitely
what am
is.
I eating tomorrow? And you've got
Yeah,
things prepped.
yeah,
If you're kind of just going through each day, just
yeah.
eating whatever or choosing whatever,
Mm,
you can be always be in the mindset of right, okay, I'm applying this knowledge, I'm not prepped, and you
yeah,
can maybe do all right, but it's hard to get in great shape like that. There has to be prior preparation
yeah. And
and things put in
I know we
place.
need to get on the questions. You know, just an example. There were a couple of occasions where one where I had to go up to Lancashire for an event, and it kind of started at 1:30. I'm thinking, what am I going to do for lunch? And so I just got one of the pots, prepped a load of stuff up, chucked it in a cool bag, and just ate it in the car when I got there. Rather than getting there and I'll go to Costa and I'll get coffee and a sandwich or whatever.
Yeah, because
Just
that's
stuff
what
like
most
that.
people would do. I'm here now.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just
yeah,
get one of the burger vans or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So yeah, it's those fine details. That's what it takes to
yeah.
have that level of body fat percentage. Okay, questions from the guys. We've probably already covered a bunch of these for my questions anyway. So, John Andrews asks, what was the biggest change that you made and why?
Yeah, so I had to think about these. You know, when you think of the changes, we've talked about some of them, moving to 3 regular workouts per week and being consistent with them. Um, but I think the biggest change I made is definitely the food prep and planning, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not saying it wasn't planned at all before, but it's night and day different now compared to what it used to be.
yeah, got it. And that's where most people need to put, even if they don't go to your level with it, even if they're being planning and prepping for more meals each week
Yeah.
than they have been before. It's going to always going to move you along the continuum to better results. Joe Quayle asks, how did you manage to overcome chronic back pain during the process?
Um, when I was reading his question today, I've actually got a bit of sciatic pain going on
Yeah, because
down my arse cheek because it doesn't go away.
it's not like fully gone and like cured.
No, no. How did I overcome it? I think it was so I've been the real low with it was about 3 years ago, and since then I've tried lots of so I've become really aware of it and what feels good and what feels bad and what I can do on certain days. So I already kind of had that in my mind. The I would always be so. I remember when I first tried the Romanian deadlifts, for example. As soon as I thought it was pulling on my back, because my technique was wrong the first time I tried them, I kind of just like stopped it. No, I'm not. That's not for me. I'm not willing to go back to the back pain. But I think as I've continued, there's a couple of things. I still do some of the Pilates exercises in between on some of the recovery days in the morning. I'll get up and do a bit of a Pilates or stretching routine. So still do that, and it's still focused on stretching my back out and just trying to maintain that flexibility and suppleness. The 90-90s that are introduced through the program, I think they really help a lot. So I'll do quite spend just a bit of time 2 or 3 times a week, just sort of sitting on those and just stretching those out. So I think, and then as I've got stronger, I've become, as I said to you the other day, I've become less conscious of
I'm just
not
worried.
not less conscious, less worried. Yeah, because I've probably because I think I've got stronger in my core, it's helping to support my back. So and I'm now finding that the question, how did you manage to overcome the back pain? I don't think it still flares up,
Yep.
but I feel I can protect it more. And then more recently, when I've been doing the things like the Bulgarian split squats, um, is it just that? Yeah, and maybe the deadlifts as well. I feel like that's actually has moved my back on again. So actually strengthening the lower half of my body, which never really got any attention apart from half an hour on the cross trainer.
Yeah, and I think as you
Um,
slowly go through the process of like building up reps and then building up weight with these movements,
yeah,
you also
yeah,
build psychological evidence for your mind that
that's a good.
you've made yourself stronger
Yeah,
without breaking
yeah,
your back,
yeah,
and you can handle these loads now, and you can
yeah,
do more of these
yeah.
things.
yeah.
and actually you can see in your
That's
daily life
definitely,
where it might be
yeah.
helping. So I think it really helps
I
from a confidence perspective as well.
think that's a good point that I hadn't previously thought about. So yeah, that link between your brain and your body, and yeah, you build
Hmm.
you know, your body's telling your brain, oh, this is okay actually, and it's self
Build it
fulfilling.
like it's building evidence.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Um, Malcolm, was it your intention to look like to when you took on the challenge to end up looking like a bodybuilder, other than shredding fat, as
I,
was the purpose of the challenge?
as I love that question. I should point out to Malcolm that I'm 6'1" and 64, 65
Yeah.
kilograms. So you know,
Malcolm actually
I'm
mentioned this on a call before, and I said to him, obviously, when you see pictures online and you don't see people
yeah,
in person, sometimes the picture paints a
yeah,
different impression. Because I like, Craig, he's actually not big. He looks big, his muscles look bigger because the body fat is disintegrated so much
yeah,
that
yeah,
you see the rippedness. Do you know what I mean? Like you see all the definition, see all the contours, and you see the shapes. So the muscles look bigger. They look
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
you look
yeah,
better,
yeah.
but you're not bodybuilder jacked.
Yeah, yeah. But no,
So
in answer to the question, I saw the challenge as uh, who could make the most progress. So maybe I didn't tune in necessarily to the fat loss, but I was progress, and progress for me was two things. It was the weight loss, and it was the training.
yeah,
The two things together. Um, I nearly didn't enter the competition because I remember it coming through, and I was like, oh God, because I knew if I entered it, a bit like when I joined the program, I was kind of like, oh, do I need this extra, like, hindrance and I thought, well, I'm in it anyway, in for a penny, in for a pound. So I never really had a plan. And then I think halfway through, I started to see the results. I could see like things were happening.
yeah. And see,
Uh,
just before you move on, you mentioned there was two things. Was it get stronger and the weight loss? Those
yeah,
were your
yeah,
so
yeah,
okay. So you were like,
yeah.
okay, that's going to be the thing that I want to progress the most on.
I mean, recognizing weight loss was never an
Yeah,
initial
yeah,
motivator
yeah,
though.
sure.
Yeah,
But you had an idea if you wanted to lose fat and get leaner, weight loss was
yeah,
going to correlate to that, and it was
yeah,
a good way of measuring the progress across the 12 weeks. And that's something I want to hammer home for a lot of you guys listening. Some of you who are not at your body fat levels that you want to be, you feel, I'm not too bothered about losing X amount of weight. Whatever weight you feel like you want to lose, you need to lose at least double that. It's always at least double what you think you need to lose in order to get to the kind of definition that you want to see. For a lot of you who have been lacking that weight loss, you're willing to push on with that. There is a big correlation between dropping the weight whilst getting stronger or maintaining your strength levels, and really having the defined muscle starting to pop through.
so I remember saying to you, and I know we've only got 10 minutes. I remember texting you saying, I'm not sure about this weight coming off, and I might have to have a rethink when I get below 70 kilos.
Mhm.
And I ended up at 64 and a half.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Psychologically, 'cause you're like,
yeah, yeah,
didn't come here for weight loss.
yeah.
And listen, I never pushed you for weight loss either, but you decided
No,
I'm going
yeah.
to push myself on this competition, and that's fine. Now, obviously, you're focusing on some slow gains. So on to Step Hen, which I'm sure is Stephen. How was your mindset in the first few days before you built a habit?
Yeah, this was a I I my I'm kind of I'm the sort of person who I love this kind of thing because it gives me a structure to work to, and these are the things you go and do and go and get better at them, and
Yeah,
that
it's
work
it's
that
very
just
it's very precise. It's like,
yeah,
and there's not a ton of things to like over
yeah,
focus on and spread your focus. It's like, here's the step, here's the action this week, every
yeah.
day. Oh, fucking go do it.
So I tend to work quite well under under that environment. So I don't think I really. So the mindset was just okay. I've got to go and do that now. So I'm going to go and do that, and then that's just progressed into habits. So I wouldn't say I had to kind of adopt uh, a specific mindset other than being a little bit. no, I guess a bit determined and um, driven to sort of right next 2 weeks. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, cool. So just kept it really, really simple and
Yeah,
focused on that one thing. What were your strongest whys if it's not two person?
yeah. I did want to share this actually. Like I said to you, when I was in my sort of mid-30s, I don't know where it came from. It just appeared one day. I had a phrase in my head, "fit at 50." Um, and that actually came from. It sounds really weird. I remember playing cricket on the beach with my dad when I was a kid, and I was knocking the ball everywhere, and he's running around after the ball, and he had to sit down, and he was like, "Oh God." I remember going up to him and putting my arm around him. I was like, "You all right, Dad?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And that for some reason that's just stuck in my head,
Mhm.
and I've always kind of thought I don't. He wasn't, he wasn't on the verge of a heart attack, but you don't know that when you're 7 or 8 years old. Um, and that's always just stuck in my head. And I thought, I don't want to be that person who can't go and run around after a ball on the beach.
So, sorry,
Or
what age was your dad then?
I guess it'd have been late 30s,
Okay.
something like that. Late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. Um, so I kind of just got this phrase in my head, fit at 50. And then I thought, well, why not extend it? Strong at 60, supple at 70, great at 80. And then if I kind of think like that, that's what I'll always be going after. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and obviously making sure that the back doesn't take over. Um, those things that I want to do as I'm getting older.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
What did you do, change, remove that you
Mm.
didn't
Yeah.
envisage ever doing, and much did how much impact did this have to you achieving your goal?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was Phil, wasn't it? I thought that was a
Mhm.
great question. There's actually three things. Um, Getting up at 5 o'clock to do a workout. Like I used to go past the local gym. I'd look in the window and I'd think, whatever time of day, and I'd be like, what do you want to spend this lovely day out here for inside a gym, you saddos? And now I'm getting up at 5 in the morning to go and do a workout. Um, the thing it's done for me is it's given me the routine and the
Yeah,
control I need to
that
be
I
able
think
to get
that's
it
an
done.
important thing as well because it removes the barrier of
Yeah,
thinking and planning.
yeah, I just get up and
You just
just
follow the
yeah.
process.
So yeah, definitely that. I think, getting to the point where I'm not having the one or two beers on a weekend. Probably, 12 months ago, I'd have been like, if I want a beer, I'll have a beer. And I'm sort of sometimes get to the point where I don't have the craving as much, actually, which I'm a bit scared about because there's other things that I like about drinking. But anyway, part of that for now. Um, and then the third one, I had to say this. What did I do that I didn't envisage ever doing? Having a post of myself on social media in my pants. That is something I never signed up for.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, fair play, man.
But
You've done
actually,
well making those changes.
what difference is that making? I probably feel more motivated over the past 2 or 3 weeks than I did 6 weeks ago. Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
Yeah, because obviously your progress and your achievements have inspired yourself
yeah.
to push on. So we'll also ask, what was a typical cardio active recovery day consist for you?
Um, I so I tried. I didn't actually. I don't think I was doing kind of like cardio recovery or cardio days probably until halfway through the challenge.
Mhm.
Um, but one thing I was doing was 10,000 steps a day. So one change I did make was, you know, Sarah and I would have dinner, and if I hadn't got my steps in, right, come on, let's go and have a bit of a walk. And she likes that as well. So and actually, so we go out, we do like 2 or 3 miles just in the local area, wrap the steps up, and guess what? We actually had a chat together as well, so it was quite nice. Yeah, which you don't always do,
Yeah.
do you? Because you're
Yeah.
glued to these.
Not spoken in 20 years, just been living together.
Yeah. And then when I did get the cardio days, I've just got like an indoor spin bike. So I go and rattle off, half an hour, 30 minutes, zone two, high zone two. Because when I'm at low zone two, I just don't feel like I'm doing anything. So it has to be sort of high zone two.
Yeah.
Um, and then the weekends, I'm generally pretty active anyway. When I was when I was really active on a weekend, sometimes I'd almost kind of try and double down on it as well. So if I was doing, the mountain biking, I'd try and have some really good food to go with it, just to sort of, go, right, the body's having to work here, and I'm not going to give it loads of calories. So I'm going to just make it work I know it's about how much you consume over the month or the week, but I kind of just felt like that made a bit of a difference.
Yep. Nice one. Whereas at the weekend, for a lot of people, the mindset is that if they've been training hard all week and then they get out and
Yeah,
do active at the
yeah,
weekend, it's like, oh, I've earned all this type of
yeah,
mentality, but that actually keeps you stuck. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
For spinning your
yeah,
wheels.
yeah,
Sure. So last one, we've got 2 minutes from Brian.
yeah.
What were the biggest sacrifices you made? Are they sustainable long term? And what do you plan to do next?
I think the biggest sacrifice that I've made is the time for food prep,
Mhm.
because it's not relentless, but it's every week. You've got to do it if
What is
you
that?
want
What describe that exactly?
to.
Describe it in 30 seconds.
Two things. Probably an hour's supermarket visit at some point over the weekend.
Yeah,
I'm
standard.
probably at least two. I would say 2 hours on a Sunday to kind of get the meals, the various different things prepped for the week, I would say. And then in the week, every evening is I'll prep my overnight oats and I'll prep my shake for the next day. Which is, it's a bit of a chunk out of the evening, half hour. And then we've already spoken about the bedtime. I wouldn't say it's a sacrifice, but it's definitely a change I've made. Um, yeah, and then what do you plan to do next?
No, no, sorry.
That's,
Are these
uh,
sustainable? Are these sustainable changes or
I
sacrifices?
think
Mm.
I honestly I think it depends on how much I want them. Because I want them, they're sustainable. If the motivation for whatever reason dropped away, I think the time spent on the food prep might be easy to.
Would it be a motivation issue or would it be a want issue? Because I think that's different.
Yeah, good point.
Because we
Yeah,
can't.
it would be a what,
Because
and for it
motivation is always going to wane for
yeah,
everything.
and for the want to go away, that comes back to the fit at 50, strong at 60, blah blah blah. So I don't think this makes honestly makes me feel good. It's made a massive
Yeah, yeah.
difference to me for the past 6 months. Um, and I'll go to work after a morning workout, and by lunchtime I'm like, I want to do another workout. So that feeling it gives me, and the bigger picture, I think will keep the want. So yeah, I'd argue it is sustainable. Yeah.
Okay. What next?
Um, in the short to medium term, as we discussed, actually put on a bit of quality weight. I'd like to continue to get. I think I've got a long way to go still in terms of overall strength, um, and getting good technique on a lot of the movements. Um, so for me, next 6 months is all about that really, and probably assess where I am at Christmas. I have thought to myself, at some point I might need to think about coming off the program, and then I thought, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But let's not talk about that right now.
Yeah. In terms of your goal of gaining muscle, whether for this length of time you're still in the program or not,
Mm,
I wouldn't come off that for at least a year
yeah,
in terms of putting some
yeah,
quality muscle
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, it takes the time to gain that strength and progress with your training and the step by steps with your
Mm,
food changes. And also being the age you are, it's not happening as fast as when you were, 21.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, for sure. So yeah, mate, just 6 months is good, probably better than most people's thought processes,
yeah,
but I would shift that to a year minimum.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
All
mate.
right. I know you're over time for the
If we
other one.
didn't have the coaching call next, we would finish up on it with a bit less pressure. But massively
That's all right.
appreciate you coming on and sharing
That's
with
great.
us. It's been very insightful. Keep up.
It's been brilliant like I say, if there's something that we've talked about that one person latches onto and goes and does, then it's a job well done.
There
So
will be loads
yeah,
of nuggets in this for the guys. So keep up the good work, Craig.
brilliant. Yeah, thanks,
Awesome.
mate. All
Right,
right.
mate. Speak soon.
Cheers. Ta-da.